Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video we got even more updates for Shadowlands beta. With only a few days away before Shadowlands is finally here for us to level, enjoy, and of course slog through the lag that's going to be happening, the server issues that are going to be happening when all of us are going to be funneled in one area. I know it sounds like a bad thing, but honestly, that's what I enjoy about the beginning of every expansion, how everybody are like packed in sardines, trying to get all through all the zones, trying to get to max level, get ahead of the pack, and it's all going to be a little bit weird and maybe a little uncomfortable for a bit, but it's also going to be very exciting just to have a brand new expansion experience all over again. We also got a lot of changes happening to classes, and this one is going to be not really what classes exactly are getting, but the Soulbinds and the Covenant abilities and Covenants themselves that we've been playing with. We are seeing some last minute nerfs happening to the Kyrian, but those were maybe necessary nerfs. We'll take a look at what's going on with those in this video. So we had nerfs, but also buffs for some of these Soulbinds. So in general, we could just call them adjustments. These are going to be a big batch of some of the buffs and nerfs happening, and we got more. One of these bigger buffs that you guys can see as well as nerfs is going to be to Kyrian Pelagos. With Let Go of the Past, instead of providing versatility, now instead provides reduced magic damage taking buff from Let Go of the Past. If you're someone who was excited to play Kyrian, you're probably looking at this and thinking, wow, that looks like a over nerf on the Blizzard's part. And while it might feel unfair, I do believe that Kyrian Pelagos has proven himself popular. Maybe even too popular. On the Wowhead, they have a bunch of class guides, and a lot of the class writers have been writing articles on what are some of the covenants they are recommending for people to pick up once Shadowlands arrives. This list is constantly changing, and with these updates, it's probably going to change wildly, but the early versions of these guides said a lot of the same stuff, and we took a look at the different guides and what are some of the different covenants and soulbinds they recommended on live stream. We took a look at every single spec that was available at the time, which was yesterday's live stream. Take a look at each covenant as well as soulbind that was recommended by the Wowhead class writers. And it turns out majority of them, an overwhelming majority, have recommended Kyrian and particular Pelagos. Not only the other soulbinds of Kyrian, but particularly Pelagos, whether you're a tank or a variety of different DPS. So it kind of makes sense for Blizzard to pounce on the soulbind that's proven itself to be really strong. I guess the versatility buff was way too good. So changing it to a reduced magic damage, I'm hoping does not make Kyrian Pelagos bad all of a sudden or bottom tier. I hope it just kind of knocks it down a peg to make every other covenant just a little bit closer to one another. On the same list of those buffs and nerfs, Necrolord Armory, which is the one soulbind I have barely got to play with, but a lot of you guys have played and told me that it's actually looking really good, took a slight nerf. It now grants soulbound player 2% additional primary stat per affected ally, where the Necrolord Armory ability, your Covenant class ability, increases your primary stat by 5%. Where this Covenant ability was changed though is how many allies it affects. It now affects up to 4 allies, and it gives them all 2% extra stats. This is much better in a 5-man group where everybody in your 5-man dungeon or certain party members inside of your raid can gain extra value, but it also gives you back a little bit less agility, intellect, or strength in return to balance it out a little bit. Then Necrolord Hymir Forgeborn Revelries will give you extra primary stats, up to 3% for each enchant on your armor. So if you're fully enchanted and there's going to be a lot of enchants to apply on your gear in Shadowlands, that should give you 3% extra primary stats, which I think is a really good bonus. And these updates are here to make Kyrian Pelagos in particular, be slightly worse for everybody, so there's more choices because an overwhelming majority of these class guides recommend you going Kyrian. Even Feral Druids, which we thought and I really mean it, all of us thought that Feral Druids were going to end up being Night Fae. I mean, Night Fae, which I feel like fits the Druid playstyle so well, and apparently Kyrian was looking really, really solid. A small nerf to Necrolord Armory is actually kind of a buff for your group, but it's a slight nerf to the person actually using the ability, but it's a lot better in dungeons. For Hymir, I think they just want for you to actually want to play this cheat death playstyle, where you have a little bit extra survivability or at least playability after you do fall. So I think they just want to make you less punished for it, and I think it's kind of cool that it buffs you based on the armor you enchant from a Forgeborn, kind of like a blacksmith Necrolord guy, which I think is cool thematically. And just recently, as I'm recording this video, we got another update to the Soulbinds, one of the more smaller updates. These are going to be from the Night Fae Dreamweaver Field of Blossom is going to last slightly less long. And Naya's Tools Poison, your interrupt is going to apply 8 damage over time, and that dot has gotten nerfed a little bit. In fact, the Naya's Tools Poison actually have seen to be a very strong utility when it comes to choosing Fae, and in some cases for certain specs, it actually was a very close second running behind Kyrian Pelagos. So it's probably Blizzard thinking, okay, well, we nerfed the Kyrian Pelagos, now what are people going to be looking at? Oh, variety of classes to look at Naya's Tools, maybe that's too strong, let's nerf that a little bit to give, again, more freedom for players to choose what they want by not making any of these abilities way too good compared to one another. Take a look at some of the other updates. Apparently a day ago there was another change to Kyrian Kleia, and I can actually see how this one might have needed to be nerfed because it seemed really strong prior. So the Kyrian Valorant Strikes ability, which is the first trait of the Soulbind tree, now changed to it only stacks based on your critical strike instead of you and your party members' crits. It now stacks only up to 20 and now has a 1-minute cooldown. In fact, this Soulbind kind of bypassed me. I've seen some people play the Valorant Strikes with Kleia, but I think a lot of the Kyrian were overshadowed by Pelagos, especially when his ability, which was one of the few abilities on his Soulbinds that was broken, particularly for rogues, but a lot of classes as well. It basically read something like, by using your class ability from the Kyrian, you gain a lot of mastery, and there was way more mastery than the tooltip suggested. So you also could spawn these orbs around you that gave you a prolonged buff to that mastery. And if you were timing it right with your orb pickups, you actually could have constant 100% uptime of that extra mastery buff. It was a little bit finicky when it comes to mobility, but it was huge. Taking a look at the Kleias though, I can kind of see why Blizzard is nerfing this one because it seems kind of broken. So some of the things that changed for it were you only on your crits does this buff stack. So prior to this, you used to stack with your party members. Your party members playing a very high crit build like a fire mage that would build this buff very, very quickly. This buff now stacks to 20 stacks instead of 40, so it would do healing by 1% heal per stack, so that would have been a 40% heal every now and again. And now it has a 1-minute cooldown where it prior to this didn't really have a CD to it. So with your party constantly critting, or maybe running with a bunch of classes that benefit highly from crit, or maybe one fire mage that just goes big combustion whenever you need that kind of heal, if a bunch of you are running Valorant Strikes, that could be free extra healing from your party. I like the idea that you can heal when it comes to playing Kyrian, but I mean, that just seems like way too much free healing on paper. And there's a good chance that after this video comes out, there will probably be even more adjustments to Soulbinds, maybe even certain conduits. Maybe by the time this video comes out, we'll have a full list of class abilities that are going to be getting their final tuning. That's the biggest question that a lot of players have. What does the final tuning suggest? Because generally Blizzard does a very final tuning pass for every single class and spec at the end of a beta. And we are coming up to just a few days away from the release of Shadowlands. I cannot wait to cover that video when it comes to the final tuning, if we get one, which we hopefully do. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts. Hopefully more of you will be free to play not just Kyrian, but whatever Covenant you really want to play going forward into this next expansion. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in the next one.